What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. To save her wedding, Taylor Hayes fakes heart problems. On the Bold and the Beautiful, how far will Taylor Hayes go to win Ridge Forrester over to her? Ridge will likely rekindle his relationship with Brooke Logan given the drama in Naples. However, does Taylor, his fiancée, possess one more ace to save her engagement? Endgame. Bridge seeing your life flash before your eyes after a daring water rescue serves as a powerful reminder that you are marrying the wrong man. Brooke Logan informed Ridge Forrester that she was done with Nick Marone's wishy-washy behavior and was moving on with her relationship. After that, the writers of The Bold and the Beautiful threw a curveball in Naples and ordered Ridge Forrester to save Brooke's life. All of The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers point to a reunion between Brooke and Ridge. Ridge and Brooke are the story's endgame, according to showrunner Bradley Bell. However, Taylor Hayes will not give up on her man without a fight. After all, she just proposed and began planning her wedding. Will she do something devious to prevent Ridge from abandoning her? The broken heart of Taylor returns. Taylor had heart issues when she returned to Los Angeles, and it was later discovered that she had broken heart syndrome. Taylor literally died when she saw her ex-husband with Brooke Logan. After Taylor and Ridge got back together, she was fine and her heart problems stopped suddenly. However, it is widely believed that Taylor will experience heart palpitations as soon as she learns about the sparks that are flying between Ridge and Brooke. Will Taylor pretend to have heart problems to prevent Ridge from leaving her? Who do you think Ridge would do best with? This time, Taylor's medical emergency could kill her. According to The Bold and the Beautiful, even fans believe this will occur sooner rather than later. This time, Taylor Hayes' medical emergency could kill her. There is no speculation that Taylor Hayes' heart might break the moment she sees Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan again, given that she is the only person who continues to suffer from broken heart syndrome. After all, Taylor made it abundantly clear to Brooke prior to their trip to Italy that she wanted him to keep her from touching her man. She was concerned about Brooke going on a business trip to Italy with her husband because she knew their history and Brooke's personality. Because Taylor's worst nightmare has come true, many B&B fans believe that it will only be a matter of time before she visits the emergency room. However, this time her broken heart may actually result in her death. Ridge didn't say he would never leave her again, according to some show critics. It's likely that the writers are still trying to figure it out. At the very least, I would wager that broken heart syndrome will return. What is Taylor Hayes' next move? Unfortunately, we are not fortunate enough to have Grace fake Taylor's broken heart syndrome, a fan wrote. In the meantime, if Taylor gets hurt, Steffi will kill her father when she returns and finds out what's going on. Or, even more likely, she'll just put all the blame on Brooke. Taylor Hayes had always held the belief that love, if nurtured for a sufficient amount of time, could withstand any storm, even one as violent as the never-ending triangle between Ridge Forrester, Brooke Logan, and Taylor Hayes. Even though Ridge and she had only been engaged for a short time on the soap, their wedding plans had already taken on a feverish urgency that made florists scramble, planners double book, and seamstresses lose sleep. Although it had taken a lot of effort, Naples had opened up old wounds that Taylor had hoped would heal over time, making the engagement far from secure. Ridge had been halfway around the world with Brooke, the woman who had, more than once, stepped between them and snatched Ridge's heart away, while Taylor had been home imagining her perfect wedding day. Ridge had once more been reminded of how much Brooke meant to him as a result of a daring rescue and an accident at sea. Taylor was aware of this. She didn't need a medium to know. It was written in Ridge's eyes, his hesitation whenever she mentioned her wedding vows, and the manner in which he pronounced her name. Her chest tightened not only out of jealousy but also out of a very real and very dangerous fear that her heart, which had already been betrayed by her own body, might not survive another heartbreak as soon as she learned what had transpired in Naples. But then a clever and risky thought came to her. Fear might be able to separate Ridge from Brooke if love alone was unable to do so. Her last encounter with death came rushing back to mind. She had broken heart syndrome, or Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, as the doctors referred to it, years earlier, shortly after returning to Los Angeles. The reason? Observing Ridge and Brooke laughing as if they had never hurt anyone before. Her entire body had collapsed, folding in on itself like paper. Her heart felt like the thinnest crystal goblet, ready to break if handled too harshly, for weeks afterward. Ridge had rushed to her side at the time, filled with guilt and concern for her safety because of the scare. He had promised to look after her and keep her safe. And it worked for a while. She had Ridge to herself for a while. But the passage of time had lessened his terror, and Taylor's illness had been pushed to the back of his mind after Brooke's near-death experience in Naples. Unless she returned it. Unless she brought to his attention how close she had once been to death. Unless she convinced him that losing her right now could mean losing her forever. Even for a woman who was an expert on the high-stakes games of love and rivalry, the plan was risky. However, Taylor was not naive enough to believe that her purity would be enough to win Ridge. Brooke, after all, never fought fair. She wouldn't either, at least not this time. The first step was subtle, with a comment here, a hand on her chest there, and a distracted glance at the floor while they were talking. She admitted to Ridge that she had been feeling a little off lately and speculated that the stress of planning a wedding might be having an effect. She allowed just enough of her voice to shake to get his attention. Ridge obviously observed. When something seemed off, he always did. She just didn't push it. She should have put all of her cards down earlier. In private moments, Taylor rehearsed. She stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom and tried to hide her discomfort by taking a short breath, taking a slight step forward, and looking away. She was careful not to overdo it. Melodrama had its place, but Ridge might suspect manipulation if she did too much too quickly. She was aware that the most convincing lies were those that were based on the truth. And there was truth to this. The occasional palpitations she experienced were real enough and were brought on by anxiety and stress. The issue was that she wanted to give the impression that they were worse than they were. The night Ridge returned late from Forrester Creations, the next phase of her plan unfolded. His voice was still tinged with the excitement of a design breakthrough and the warmth he always felt whenever he mentioned Brooke. As they were sipping wine in the living room, Taylor leant her head slightly forward. "How are you doing?" Already leaning forward, Ridge asked. She waved me off with a handshake, but when she tried to stand, she put her palm against her heart. She whispered, "It's nothing. That feeling all over again." He quickly set his glass down and moved to her side, causing it to clink against the table. The same shift she had observed years earlier when doctors first mentioned the term syndrome could be seen in his eyes. Instantaneous, intense, and reflexive concern. She also gave it only enough food to keep it alive. She incorporated her condition into their lives over the following week. Although she insisted that she did not wish to cause a fuss, she would occasionally be forced to pause the conversation and rest her hands on her chest, as if calming an erratic rhythm. She answered Steffi's calls in hushed tones to make sure Ridge could hear things like "doctor" and "tests." She naturally shook her head lightly when Ridge offered to postpone their wedding so she could rest. She said softly no. If something happened to me before we said our vows, she let go of the sentence, her eyes becoming cloudy. Like a phantom, the implication hung between them. Brooke, on the other hand, had no idea what Taylor was up to. After Naples, she was busy trying to sort out her own tangled emotions. She had informed Ridge that she was done with Nick Marone's indecisiveness and anyone's second choice. She knew she wanted Ridge once more after the water rescue, and this time she wouldn't let her pride or her past stop her. In the form of Ridge's arms pulling her from the water and a boat tossed by waves, she believed that fate had spoken loud and clear. The issue was that Ridge's loyalty was once more evenly split. Taylor also planned to keep it that way until she could completely swing the balance in her favor. However, in soap operas, plans are frequently questioned. Steffi, who was fiercely independent but protective of her mother, began to notice the pattern. Before she knew the symptoms, she had seen Taylor go through the real broken heart syndrome. She also knew her mother well enough to know when a performance was being given. Steffi confronted Taylor in the kitchen one afternoon, her voice sharp but low. She stated, "You need to tell me if you're really sick. You are playing with fire if you are not and are using this to keep Dad away from Brooke." Taylor did not immediately respond. In response to her daughter's gaze, she merely set down her teacup. She concluded by saying that fighting for what is yours is sometimes necessary. Steffi clenched his jaw. She didn't like it, but she also knew that morality rarely won in the world of Ridge, Brooke, and Taylor. Ridge, on the other hand, experienced the usual tug-of-war in both directions. He was terrified of losing Taylor and of walking away from Brooke just as they were beginning to reconnect. He told himself he could be Taylor's fiancé and control his feelings for Brooke at the same time, but he knew that was a lie. It was also felt by Brooke. She was already aware that a portion of his heart still belonged to her when she saw him holding Taylor's hand in the hospital. Ridge's emotions stretched out in a slow-motion tug-of-war until something or someone would inevitably snap. Taylor's episodes got more frequent as the wedding date got closer.